This video is a post-game analysis of my match against National Master Nelson Lopez, where both of us recorded our in-depth thought processes during the game. The goal of this video is to highlight the differences between International Master, yours truly, and a National Master, Nelson, and the original gameplay can be found on Nelson's Chess Vibes channel, and this video serves as a follow-up analysis conducted right after the game. Let's get to it.
Okay.
So yeah, good game. So what were you saying about knight c6?
Yeah, interesting line. This bishop g4 early third move. I have seen, I think f3 is the move, right? But I know it gets very tricky, so I didn't want to get into it. I think f3, bishop f5, c4, and then do you go e6 there or c6?
E6. I usually go e6. Yes.
Yeah, e6, and I know it gets very tricky. If you take, then you go knight c6, right? And,
yeah, it gets very wild.
The whole theory, which I was not familiar with, so I didn't want to go for this.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering how familiar you were with the bishop g4.
Not familiar. So not very familiar, so that's why I tried to avoid it and play it in the simplest way.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's most top players will do that? Like if they know that there's some theory, they're going to choose a sideline that's kind of safe to avoid it?
Especially if they are not familiar with it. If they are familiar with it, probably then it's a different story because they know exactly what the evaluation is there and what the tricks are.
Gotcha.
I think probably if you have a lot of time to analyze with the computer, probably makes a lot of sense to get there. But if you're caught off the book in the game, definitely, I think a lot of players would try to avoid
Let me ask you this. If this was an over-the-board game with like a couple hours, would you have gone for it, or would you still have probably played bishop e2?
I would probably still play bishop e2.
Okay. Good to know.
If there are probably two takes onto it. If it is classical game that I have time to prepare for, and I see my opponent is going for this line, then I would probably invest more time to investigate what's happening in that position, because that way I can probably win the game at home.
Gotcha. Do you normally play e4?
I try to double. So originally I started playing e4, so I got to probably about 2200 level with e4.
Okay.
Then I switched to knight f3 ready / d4 and more queen's gambit. Now I try to do both e4 and d4 with my students. I mainly teach e4, so I would say a lot of this knowledge comes from me analyzing something for my students.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So is queen h5 something that you kind of were expecting, or?
After queen takes d5 here, okay, let's see. Bishop e2.
After c4. Yeah.
Yes, actually, in my thought process here, I was thinking he's going to go queen a5 or queen f5. That's what I was thinking. I guess queen h5 also makes sense to pin the h-pawn, but that was my third option. I thought queen a5 or queen f5 would be the main moves.
Yeah, I play this a lot in Blitz, and usually they'll castle and play h3 right away, and I'll just like take it, and it works out pretty nicely a lot of times in Blitz games. Yes. But I thought like 15-10 is probably short enough that I can get away with that still. So that's what I was planning on doing, but didn't get a chance really until later when I felt like it wasn't the right time.
Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense, and that's why you probably noticed I was taking quite some time here.
Yeah.
Now making sure that I don't step on this mine.
Right.
Which can explode quick. Queen a5 check. I think I can just go bishop d2 though. I was thinking bishop d2. If you go queen b6, maybe d5. Anyways, if you take queen b2, I think I have bishop c3 there. So I didn't see how you could counter that.
Right.
So that was my thinking.
Yeah. So d5, knight e5. Initially, I was thinking maybe of castling, but then queen a4, I didn't really like the looks of that. Here after, were you going to play queen a4 if I castled long?
Yes, that was. I was choosing between queen a4 and knight bd2. I was not sure which one actually is better, because here I thought knight e5,
Yeah.
Queen takes a7, knight takes f3, pawn takes f3, and I was not quite sure here what is going on, because
Same. Yeah.
you may try to run away. If I go queen a8 check, king d7, that's a weird situation here. I guess I have to go back to a4.
Yeah. I
Maybe.
didn't I was kind of unclear in my mind, like, was this a good line for me or not? So I wasn't sure.
Exactly. Same thing. So I didn't want to go for forced line. So I thought that my safety net, if I don't have to go queen a4, could be knight bd2, defending the f3 square. So would be probably.
Gotcha. So that happened here, and then castles. Initially, I thought you weren't threatening anything, but then I realized you were going to take on e5, and then it is threatening my bishop, right?
That's exactly, yes, was my thinking process too. I actually started considering queen a4 first. Then I was thinking maybe I should castle, go short castle. But then I noticed that h3 does actually create a threat. I think originally I said that actually that h3 looks nice, but there is not a threat really. And then I wrote this, oh, wait a second, I do have a threat. Knight takes e5.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, okay, let's see. I think, was there any other moves? I think I have to pretty much trade that knight, right? Yeah.
I thought maybe you could try take on f3, then bishop takes f3 and queen e5 check. But I would probably sacrifice the b2 pawn and go bishop e3.
Okay. Yeah, this looks pretty good for you. Yeah.
And your development, you're lagging in development by a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's even worth taking on b2.
Sure. Okay, so e6, you just castled, which makes sense.
So I thought actually bishop h3 was interesting here, but I didn't think you had enough at the moment.
Because knight g5. I was like, what do I do against knight g5?
Exactly. I think
you're coming in here, and it's like
one tempo short. If bishop was already on d6, then you would have a lot of
yeah, exactly.
Knight d5, I think, shuts it down, and then I can go queen d3 to swing the rook on g3 or h3.
Yeah, and I thought about just taking it and then going like queen f5 or something, but
yes,
I don't know. I just felt like your bishops, it just didn't look like it was going to be much fun for me.
Looks so good, right? Then I can go queen a4, bishop e3, put the pressure on a7 pawn immediately. And if black has no counterplay on my king, I think white should be pretty comfortable.
Yeah. So were you expecting me to sack the bishop somehow here, or?
Yes, I did. Actually, I was not sure in what way and form it would come. I was also looking actually bishop d6. Bishop d6 might be also interesting, because if I take g4, knight takes g4, and I'm not sure what is happening here, because bishop h2 is now basically a checkmate threat, I think. Is it at least a perpetual check threat? Maybe not the checkmate threat, but it definitely looks unpleasant.
Yeah.
So maybe like rook e1, bishop h. I don't think I would want to allow this. Originally, I didn't notice actually this move, bishop d6, when I played the move. When I was thinking of your response, then it came to me, and I thought maybe c5, but I was not sure if that works. Like bishop takes h3. I figured some way it has to be good. Let's say c5, bishop h3, takes on h3, queen h3, and takes on d6. That's already two minor pieces, so I think should be good for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think you have anything there, because in the worst case, I can go knight h2 next.
Right. Yeah, I actually missed the idea of going bishop d6 first. I was thinking of following up with that later, but didn't really get the good opportunity.
Right.
Oh, okay. So you took it.
I think ed5 immediately. I'm not sure if you noticed the knight h4. That was my little trick. Knight h4. Try to get rid of all your attackers.
Yeah. I did notice it later. Initially, I was thinking like bishop f4.
Right.
And then I was thinking bishop d6.
Bishop d6, yeah, correct. And now rook can come nicely, right? From
Stockfish actually doesn't. Wow, knight h2 here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, interesting. Because it's threatening on g4. Wow, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that looks nice. But yeah, safe to say I didn't look into that, knight h2.
Right. Okay, so bishop takes. King B8. You took on D5. Were you at all worried at this point, or you were pretty comfortable here?
I was worried actually because I think it's the type of position which you know that you must be winning, but you need the precision in order to make sure you don't give any counterplay. And with my time going down, I wanted to make sure that I had everything covered.
Yeah.
So yes,
Was your
I
time
was
was your
super,
time
super
so
worried.
low? Was your time so low because you were talking a lot, explaining your thoughts, or because you were just thinking, or both?
I think both. I
Okay.
tried
Okay.
to balance it, explain my ideas, what I was concerned about, but a lot of it was double, triple checking all these tricky lines, making
Sure.
sure I don't miss checks and some counterplay from you.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so bishop d6. Yeah, g3, wasn't expecting at all. I was totally convinced you were going to go bishop h3 here. And then I was going to try to throw my pawns forward and see what happens. But yeah, g3 kind of caught me off guard. I guess because like normally g3, there's perpetual check. And here
Right,
that
right.
the bishop on g4 covered h3. So yeah, I just wasn't expecting that.
Right. The move before, I took some time to figure out how to defend. And that was my thought process too. Should I go immediately bishop h3? Should I just play g3 immediately? That's actually was my original idea, to go g3 before taking the pawn on d5.
Oh,
But
okay.
then I noticed that on g3, let's say you move queen back, for example, to f6. And now if I take on d5, then this h5, h4 may come pretty quick. And if h5 opens up and rook gets into play, I probably don't want to be dealing with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, then I thought of maybe actually allowing this g3. If he's willing to sacrifice another piece, is not that bad of an idea, because it sounds counterintuitive, but I thought that my king may be safer there because I'll be controlling all the checking squares with my bishops. Two bishops can do a lot.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, so maybe I should have just started pushing the pawns now and just not even gone for bishop d6.
I think so, actually. Maybe like
Yeah.
h5, going h5 immediately there, asking me the question, what are you going to do with that bishop? Are you going to put it on h3 or f3? And
Yeah.
then do bishop d6. I think, yeah, that would actually make me worry more.
Yeah, sure. So g3 takes. Yeah,
And
h5.
here, actually, after queen takes g3, when you played h5, I thought that makes it easier for me, because now you never have access to this h6 square. You don't have access to h6 square now either, but I thought maybe rook d6 here was interesting, and trying to go queen h4 check and then rook g6.
Okay. Yeah,
So
using the g6 square. I see.
using the g6 square, yes. So I was probably gonna go queen f3, rook d6. I was thinking I'm gonna throw all my pieces to the king side there.
Sure, sure.
F3 maybe, but yeah, I think it still works actually, because queen h4 check. Now I can go queen h3 actually, and
Right. Yeah, I think you're fine. Yeah.
still fine there. But let's say you go queen d8, and still you have the way to put this rook on g6, and I have to worry about h5. I think white should be fine there, but I would still have to make a few accurate moves.
Right, right. The time situation might have been a little bit more challenging. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, h5. I think I missed something here because I thought I was going to be able to kick your bishop off. And what did I miss? Was it
I think computer, yes, is suggesting go queen h4 check first and then go g6.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand, what is the significance of that?
I think after queen f3, g6, queen f3, if you try to go queen h4 check, I'll have queen h3
Right.
attacking your queen. So you cannot avoid the queen trade. And
So
if
I
you
go
start
first.
with queen h4 check, then I don't have a way to force the queen trade.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Like that.
Yep. That's what it was. I think in the video I was only talking about rook f3 for some reason, and I was thinking I was still going to be able to keep the queens on, but yeah, queen f3 was just a good way to do it.
I see. No, originally, actually, my idea was, if I can give one of the bishops to trade queens, I was willing to
Yeah.
give.
Yeah, see, that's smart because I think a lot of people watching are like, no, I got to hold on to my two bishops, right? But then you would not even consider all these other moves where you could sacrifice one back, clear up the king problems, and you still have an extra piece. Yeah.
Yes,
Very
I
smart.
talk a lot about that too with my students when working about the conversion and technique in general. I think one of the big tools of converting comfortably is giving up part of or understanding when to give up part of your advantage to simplify the position. Then
Yeah,
there are no
nice.
danger.
Yeah, very good, very good. So, okay, queen of 3, nice move. And then at this point, let's say after rook takes f5, like how easy was it for you to convert this from, like, was this super easy or was it still a little bit tricky, or at this point it was like over?
I thought that from here on, if I'm able to limit black's counterplay, like a rook invading on the second rank, right? I think that would be basically the only counterplay here for black. Then it should be a pretty comfortable conversion. And once I noticed that I can create counterplay on the c7 pawn with bishop f4 and rook c1, I think then it came quite easy. But here in this particular position, I was not 100% sure actually whether I was going to manage to activate my king on time to get all your counterplay out of the way, basically.
Yeah, I was kind of optimistic, honestly, because I thought, okay, his king's so far away. He only has 3 pawns left. The bishop's the wrong color from the corner if somehow we ended up in that, bishop and pawn. So I had all these things, but yeah, the c7 square, exactly. I didn't realize like how just annoying that was going to be after bishop f4. I was like, man, I can't do anything now.
Exactly. Yeah, very important detail, I think, the c7 pawn. And yeah, the conversion also. So one is to simplify the position and trade. Number 2 would be go for the attack. And I think this is a good illustration on that, because black will simply not have enough pieces to defend that weakness on c7.
Yeah. And then the back rank mate too was like another thing that kept popping up, like just
after rook d7, right? Rook c8. And yes, actually, there was a nice line that I was trying to calculate. If you go rook e2 instead of king c8, I think I can take rook c7 immediately.
Right.
Rook takes 7. Then I try to take rook f7. And if you try to defend the rook from c2, then I will have back rank checkmate with rook f8.
Oh, so nice.
That kind of works out in my favor.
Yeah. I was thinking about maybe going for this and then playing something like a5 or a6 to run. Yep. But then I'm like, the d pawn is right there. Like this, there's no way that I'm holding on to this.
Exactly my thought as well. That's what I mentioned. That if I'm able to win the c7 pawn, then my d6 pawn is going to become more valuable than my b and a2 pawns. So even if you take those 2 pawns, I wouldn't matter.
Yep. Cool. And then from there, it was pretty much over. I mean, I was trying to do something, but there was just
I tried to be there as clean as possible with bishop c1 and then going bishop d2, bishop c3, and a3, also fixing the pawns on the queen side.
Yeah, it was great. It was very good. I think pretty instructive.
Yeah, major thing when you're trying to convert is limit your opponent's counterplay as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very nice game. Let me ask you this one question. So I usually feel like when I play with white, I'm able to get into more comfortable positions. How big of a deal do you think it is, or how big of a deal do you think it should be for most players, like if you get white or black?
I'm exactly the same way. I like playing with white. However, I also feel that a lot of my good results from the tournaments have come from black.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that's mainly because of the mentality that with black, I try to play solid, equalize first, and then if they give me an opportunity, then try to take over. So I would say for me personally, yes, I feel way more comfortable with white. But how big of a deal? I would say it is pretty big deal. But when we are training, I don't think we want to. I think we want to train both. I don't think we want to be one-sided, but I think it's always going to be subjective. Starting first and trying to direct the course of the game is more fun than reacting to what opponent is inflicting on us, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I have one more question because some people have commented recently, actually quite a few people. They said, Nelson, you always lose games because you sacrifice pieces when you don't have to. So what's your opinion on, like, putting the queen on h5 and getting ready to sack the bishop? Like, do you think I would win more games if I played just more solid, like, calm openings, or what do you think about that?
Not in particular. I think finding one's style
Mm-hmm.
is more of a priority. And if I'm giving this advice to someone just getting started with the game, then probably I would say that experiment with all of it. Try to play aggressive, try to play solid, and then see what works for you. Now, if I'm saying this to you and if we are talking, I would probably say that, okay, you already tried a lot of these things. You've been in the game long enough to know what works for you and what does not work for you. So in that case, whatever you feel more comfortable with, going with that. So if you think that attacking style and this dynamic positions is more your game, I think players should choose to do that. If you feel like you're not inclined to complications and you like to play solid more, then probably try that. I would say that if you like to go for the attacks and sacrifices, I don't think you should change the style.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of what, like, for me, it's more about, I have more fun when I play games like that, where it's like, his king's there, and yes, I'm down 2 pieces, but maybe something happens, and it's just more fun, I think, for me. So
absolutely. And counter argument to that would be, can we imagine Shiro playing a solid, like Alexei Shiro, who is very much inclined, right, to attack, would play this calm, composed games? I don't think so. Same with, let's say, Mikhail Tal, right?
Right.
He wouldn't like to be playing these slow games. And those were the most obvious ones. There are probably a lot of examples like that.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, no, I think finding that our style and our rhythm is what makes game fun. So that should be the first priority, and then everything else.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, Zerb, thanks for the game. I really appreciate it. I think people probably enjoyed watching this and kind of seeing the difference between National Master, International Master. Anything you want to, like, add here at the end?
I look forward to seeing how it comes out. Also, this comparing next to each other, our thought processes. So, no, for sure, I learned a lot myself, and still probably in the later processes, I'm sure I'm gonna learn way more. So this was fun. Thank you for doing it, and
yeah, likewise.
We'll see in the future what direction this can take.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Zerb.
All right, guys, I hope you did enjoy first game and then the analysis. If you did find it instructive, do let me know, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It would help me a lot. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.